Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the MIT Sloan session at MBA Spotlight. My name is Kathleen Williams, and I'm your host for today. It's also my pleasure to present you Megan Hennessy, Director of Admissions at MIT Sloan. We'll begin today with a quick overview of the full-time MBA program for critical information that you need to know to be successful in your applications. After the brief presentation, we will open it up for Q&A. We will try and take as many questions as possible. To the right, you will see the tab with the Q&A bubbles. Please put your comments in there. We will try to answer as many as we can. And now we'll turn it over to Megan to begin the presentation. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining today. Delighted to see all of you. As Kathleen said, my name is Megan Hennessy, a member of the MIT Sloan admissions team. And to kick us off, just to get started, I want to ground us all in understanding what MIT Sloan is all about. And I think the best way to do that is really to understand our mission. And the mission of the MIT Sloan School of Management is to develop principled, innovative leaders who improve the world and to generate ideas that advance management practice. This is really, really important in what the admissions committee uses to seat our class. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for leaders. We're looking for leaders who think outside of the box. We're looking for leaders who are innovative, who have that idea that they really want to have, make an improvement on the world around them and really leave that lasting impact. So as we go through this brief presentation today, please bear in mind our mission, as that is the foundation for what we are doing here at MIT Sloan. Really quickly, I know for the majority of the time today, we will be talking about our MBA program and our dual degree program, which is the LGO program. But just so everyone understands, we do have a full portfolio of programs. We have our early career bucket of programs, which is starting off with our MBA-N, which is our Master's in Business Analytics, Master's in Finance. Then we also have a program, which is our MBA Deferred Admissions program for our college seniors who are looking to secure a spot in a future MBA class. So they would be applying when they're a senior and they would be matriculating after 24 months of employment. We then have our executive degree programs, which is our Sloan Fellows program and our executive MBA program. Students here are required to have a minimum of 10 years of work experience. And in our EMBA program, students do continue to work full-time as they are pursuing their MBA. But for our purposes today, we will focus, like I said, on our MBA program and our dual degree program with the School of Engineering, which is called Leaders for Global Operations. For both of these programs, the profile of the students is very similar. Students who have about 3 to 7 years of work experience prior to applying to the program. The programs themselves are roughly about the same time frame. LGO does start a little bit earlier. The LGO program, Leaders for Global Operations, students would be getting an MBA as well as a Master's in Engineering. So this is really for individuals who are interested in engineering. It's very much focused on that, and it's very important just to point that out. We can go into it in a little bit of detail later. Additionally, we do have some other dual and joint degree programs. We have with the with urban studies and planning, and we also have with Harvard. It's called the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, and in that program, students would be applying concurrently to Sloan and HKS. Students then would do a semester at Sloan, a semester at HKS, and you can kind of see through the 4 semesters how the breakdown would happen. Students would need to be admitted to both of the programs. Okay, so for today, we are going to talk about some of the things that really make Sloan stand out. And the first and foremost is our curriculum. Some of you might be familiar with our curriculum. As you know, the MBA program is a 2-year full-time program that consists of 4 semesters. The first semester, students are required to complete their core. Students complete their core requirements in a cohort. Some people might have heard this already. The cohorts are designated by oceans. So there's Atlantic, Baltic, Caribbean, Indian, Mediterranean, Pacific, just to name a few. So students are have a lot of, they're very enthusiastic about which cohort they're in, not only because they want to, they're competitive, but also because these cohorts allow students to really build a bond with one another and really have those really amazing relationships, not just during the core semester, but for the remaining 3 semesters as well. During the core semester, students are required to take leadership challenges for an inclusive world, economic analysis for business decisions, data models and decisions, communication for leaders, organizational processes, financial accounting are the core courses that students are required to take their first semester of the MBA program. When they complete their first semester, then they have 3 remaining semesters to customize the degree. So for example, some students might want to take a deeper dive, right? And so if you want to take a deeper dive, we have certificates. You can think of those certificates sort of like a college minor. You're taking a deeper dive into a subject area. The 7 certificates that we offer are business analytics, enterprise management, entrepreneurship and innovation, finance, healthcare, product management, and sustainability. So if you're interested in taking a deeper dive into one of these 7 disciplines, you can certainly do so. If you elect not to take a certificate, you would just be able to sit down with your MBA program advisor and sort of go through your degree audit and figure out what electives you like to take. Often students are taking electives within a variety of these certificates. So they might be interested in sustainability, they might be interested in healthcare, and they're taking a combination of those, which is totally normal and what a lot of students actually end up doing. Another component of our curriculum is called our Action Learning Labs. People might be already familiar with this. This is really learning the concepts that you learn in the classroom. You really take these concepts and you're working with a company to solve a real world problem. These labs are both domestic and and globally. And also this type of learning happens outside of the Action Learning Labs. The concept of really taking the concepts you learn in the classroom and having real world experiences to put them into action is really important. And really, I'd say Sloan students at least take 2 Action Learning Labs. We have all different Action Learning Labs. We are constantly adding to the program office and Action Learning team are constantly adding labs to this list. We recently have added, over the last few years, USA Lab. There's a variety of other labs that we've added as well. These really come about because students are really interested in a particular subject area and they really want to take an Action Learning Lab that reflects that. Okay, then we can move on to our community. We really pride ourselves on the community here at MIT Sloan. Student life is certainly at the forefront of all of that. There's many different things that you can participate in. You can run we have a variety of student-run conferences, the Sloan FinTech Conference, the Sloan Investment Conference, Sports Analytics Conference. The Sports Analytics Conference is probably one of the largest student-run conferences. These conferences are really impressive. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to attend the Sports Analytics Conference, and it's really impressive what the students are able to do. Also bearing in mind that they are full-time students and putting on these really impressive professional conferences. So those are wonderful. I encourage anyone to participate if you get the opportunity. We also have a variety of different opportunities to travel. We have student tours and treks. These are student run and they take place in various times throughout the year. Another really important part of student life at MIT Sloan are student clubs. These are all student run. We have about 80 plus clubs at this point at MIT Sloan. Students just, they come to Sloan if they're really passionate about something. They come to student life and they ask, they're interested in starting a club, and that's why we have so many. They range from industry focused. We also have affinity clubs, regional interest clubs. We have sports and recreation clubs. We have arts and culture clubs. And in the past year, we've had close to 700 club hosted events. So the clubs are very busy. They're very robust. There's a variety of different opportunities to also have leadership roles in some of these clubs that we have. So the clubs really are important. And it's not important to note here that it's not just the MBA students that are participating in the clubs. As I mentioned before, when I first started our presentation today, I did go through the portfolio of programs. So it is encompassing of all of that. Our student life, our clubs incorporates all of the portfolio programs that MIT Sloan offers. Another really important component of MIT Sloan, right? Students are coming because they want to further their own professional careers, right? So they're interested in securing that job upon graduation. So we are fortunate enough to have a very dedicated career development office. Within this office, we have advisors that are specific to each program. Students are able to go to the CDO and make appointments with an advisor. They're able to continue this with the same advisor for the 2 years that they're there. They're also able to kind of have the opportunity to talk to different advisors. But the really important part here is that the advisors are really there to help you with your career path from the moment you step on campus until you secure that job upon graduation. And so they're there to help any way they can along the way. We certainly understand that folks are coming from a variety of different backgrounds, so the support is there to really help students in whatever their career path is at that point. So maybe it's helping with, revising your resume. Maybe it's a mock interview that you need assistance with. Maybe you're at the final stages of your job offer and you're working on salary negotiations. So they are there to help the entire time, and they're a wonderful resource to utilize. We also are fortunate enough to have some Sloan industry advisors. These industry advisors are really our alumni experts. They represent about 17 or so industries, and they're at a wonderful resource to tap into, that not only their experiences, but also their network. Their network is really important to tap into. There are countless examples of when alums have sort of opened the doors for some of our students, made that connection, had that informational interview or phone call that they might not have had they not been in that network. So really, really important. And we're fortunate enough to have such a dedicated alumni network that are there and want to help our students and want to stay connected. So really, really important component of the whole career path through the CDO. And then another component that we have are MBA career advisors. Our MBA career advisors are second year MBA students who really collaborate with the CDO to share their insights and knowledge about their career path and what they decided to do. They are a wonderful resource because they are the ones who really have just gone through the majority of this, and they're able to kind of sit down with students and go through that. This, of course, also happens in more in an organic way as well. Second year students are constantly sharing knowledge and insights about career paths, what classes to choose, all of that. They're another really a wonderful resource to tap into to get that full experience. And really, they kind of offer a lot of tips and tricks on sort of how to make your experience even better. First year students have a lot to offer, but then it certainly is reciprocal. By the time first year students become second year students, they in turn want to share that information with their fellow first year students. Okay, so I touched upon it a little bit, but really important. I'm going to spend a few more minutes talking about our alumni network. Our alums are really all over the world. We have at this point 24K alums sort of scattered. The admissions team does events both internationally and domestically, and we're fortunate enough to have students, alumni sort of scattered across the globe. And so when we're in these countries, we're able to offer these students wonderful opportunities that way, learning from their experiences, allowing them to be guest speakers or panelists at some of our events. So this is really, really important and really, really helpful for the students to gain this knowledge, insight, and experience from our amazing alumni network. Okay, so I will spend a few minutes now talking about our application. I don't know, some folks have already applied round one, but our round one was in September. On September 30th, our round two will be January the 14th, and our round three will be April 7th. Our round for the LGO program has passed. It was earlier this month, but I'll go through it in a little more detail. We did add a few updates this year, so I will go through it in a little more detail, and we can certainly go through it in the Q&A as well. So we of course have academic transcripts. We really are looking for those official academic transcripts. If you can send in, one just from your home institution. If you did a study abroad program, the majority of the time that study abroad semester or year is on that transcript, but just make sure that we do have all of the documentation of any classes that you took that really contributed to a degree. Of course, we also offer we also require the resume. Please make sure you're following the directions for the way in which we have asked for you to share your resume. We do also require our organizational chart, and this is really important. We're really interested in seeing where the applicant sits in the company that they're a company or organization that they're currently a part of. We want to see, do you have any direct reports? Who do you report to? It really is important, and it sets a gives us a visual and really gets us to helps the admissions committee understand where the applicant fits, like I said, in the overall scope of the company. It allows us also to see how big the company is, and allows us to sort of just be able to see the positioning of how that plays out. We also do require the cover letter, so please make sure you adhere to those guidelines that we have specifically laid out for the cover letter. Also, bear in mind the cover letter, the resume, all of these things are being read together. It's a holistic review of the application, so it's not necessary to repeat the same information. We want you to know that we have the resume, we have the cover letter. I'll get to the short answer question next, but just know that we are reading it all together, so you don't have to continue to talk about the same example. You can certainly share another example. You can highlight something else, another professional experience that you think might be relevant. Again, we do require the short answer question. This is what before we had as an optional question. It is now a required short answer question. So please make sure you see that as well in the application. This year we do have 2 videos. We've always had a video number 1, which is a 60-second introduction to your potential future Sloan classmates. So that has always been there. The addition this year is video number 2, and that is just an on-demand video response. So we're really looking to see how you react to things on your feet. There's nothing to prepare for this question. It is solely just, it's an auto-generated question. Everyone gets a different question. There are questions like, share a time that you were part of a group project and somebody in the group wasn't pulling their weight. How would you respond? What is the hardest interaction or most difficult interaction you've ever had with the LGO applicants? They are required to share 1 to 2 technical letters of recommendation. We also require 2 additional references. This is just contact information. And we do require the GMAT or the GRE scores. We really are not at this point able to provide any kind of test score waivers for this. It really is the one-off cases that we have. So please do plan on submitting the GMAT or the GRE score. Also for the LGO applicants, we also do ask for the LGO statement of purpose. Also bear in mind, applicants, in order to move on in the process, students will need to be invited for an interview. And so that all applicants, in order to move on in any part of the process, do need to have an interview with a member of the admissions committee. And if invited for an interview at this point, students would be required to submit 2 additional essays. So, okay, with that, that is the formal portion of this. I'm finished with that. So now we can just move on to take some questions.
Thank you, Megan, for the helpful insights for the MBA program. So the poll earlier for which round applicants have applied in, we have over 75% that have plan to apply in round 2, about 6% in round 3, and the remaining majority is undecided yet. So we did have a few questions in the Q&A that were not covered.
Okay.
One person asked, how do the scholarships vary from round 1 compared to round 2?
Yep, great question. So merit-based fellowships are awarded by the admissions committee. All applicants are reviewed for these fellowships. Think about it this way, right? So if we start round 1, we have a clean slate. We have not awarded any fellowships. By the time round 2 rolls around, we have awarded some fellowships. So at that point, we really would have less funding. The reality here, though, is that you really should be applying to the program when you feel like your application is the strongest. So it is possible, as we move through the process, that those who were awarded fellowships for whatever reason decide to go somewhere else are not able to take them. So sometimes the money we can reallocate as the process moves on. But yeah, really, the the more funds we have available to award is in round one.
Thank you. There's another question. If you could share a bit about the common mistakes you see in the application process and how to make the best of their application.
Sure. First and foremost, follow directions. We have our directions for our application are very expansive, so make sure you're following directions for each of the components. Make sure that you're being authentic and genuine when you're doing your application. We really want this is an opportunity to get to know you as the applicant. So make sure you're sharing everything you want the admissions committee to get to know you. You're going to be your best advocate. So make sure that you're sharing that. Make sure you're sharing all the most recent relevant information. Make sure if there's a reason why for your letter of recommendation that you chose someone in a previous role to write your recommendation, make sure you highlight that for us. Tell us why. Tell us you didn't want your current employer to know that you're applying to the MBA program, or you feel like this individual is going to be able to write this letter of recommendation with more details and provide more information about your professional experience. Make sure that you share that with us so we know, so we're not wondering why you chose this person. Our expectation for choosing a letter of recommendation for someone who's going to be choosing the person that we expect that you're going to be choosing to write your letter of recommendation is from your current employer and is someone senior to you. So if that's not the case, which is totally fine, let us know why. Let answer that question for us.
Thank you. Another question to follow up on the application
Mhm.
process is how do you see career gaps within the application process? Do you see it as a negative impact and how they can address that?
It's not necessarily a negative. I would be more interested in sort of you connecting the dots for me. Like, what is that? Why did that happen? What did you do before? What are you currently doing? What did you do in the meantime? Make sure that you're telling your story. And if you do have gaps, that's no problem, but make sure you're able to fill in those gaps and you're able to share that um, information with us so we can get your full story.
Thank you. And
Mhm,
shifting gears a bit,
mhm,
you touched on the diversity within the classroom.
mhm.
A question asked, what are the classes like? Are they more case-based study, lecture-based, teamwork-based? What are the peers like?
Sure. So of course, I think we have a little bit of everything. We gear towards, as I talked about, action learning labs. That method of teaching is really something that a lot of professors do more so than just the read a case, come to class, have a discussion on that. That does happen, of course, but we're really interested. MIT Sloan is really interested in students understanding the concepts and understanding real life and having those real life experiences where they can utilize it. So how are they using what concepts they're learning in the classroom? So yes, in some classes there are case studies, but the case studies are relevant and students come ready and prepared to have conversations. From the students who are in the class, we have a little bit of a smaller class size compared to some of our peer schools, and we think that this promotes a tight-knit community. And really, we're looking for individuals from all different backgrounds. So we're looking for individuals who come from, not just finance, consulting, tech, but humanities, everything. And we think that individuals from all different backgrounds really enhance the learning experience and really allow students to really learn from one another.
Perfect, thank you.
Mhm,
Another question in the same arena is
mhm.
what kind of diversity does MIT possess? A person asks in reference that they have an architecture background, for example. Do you mind sharing a bit about the types of backgrounds that the cohort consists of?
Sure. So students, they consist of all different backgrounds. If you have an architect background, that's great. We would be interested in sort of what it is that makes you want to pursue an MBA. I mean, we have industry experience. I mean, there's fintech finance, there's engineering, there's folks who are from like humanities, arts. hospitality. It really runs the gamut. It's not just, tech and finance and consulting and things like that. It really is. It does vary.
Okay, perfect. There's another great question. How does Sloan program foster opportunities for students to engage in cross-industry innovation?
Well, I think we're constantly trying to do that. I think we're constantly trying to have that cross-functional understanding of the interception of, you know, innovation, entrepreneurship, any of the above. We're constantly seeing those intersections, and we're certainly trying to bridge them as best we can. Individuals who are really interested in that, a lot of them will take a deeper dive into one of those certificates. So maybe they're interested in, fintech. Maybe they're interested in, sustainability and healthcare. They're constantly in tune to that, and a lot of the classes and a lot of the culture are students trying to pursue that.
Perfect. Another great question. What is one specific thing that students from the MIT program will get that they cannot get from other programs?
Well, okay, so there's a few things. I touched upon it a little bit, but I think it's the full experience, right? It's 2 years that you're able to be in a community with individuals who are like-minded. It's a baseline understanding that everybody is intelligent, but it goes beyond that. It's really you're working with individuals who not only, like I said, want to further their own professional career, but really want to have a greater impact on the community around them. And understanding that, tapping into you're sharing your network with your classmates are sharing their network with you. The alumni network is, they're far reaching, and the ability and that tapping into that network is priceless. You can't, that having individuals who are dedicated. There is a phrase that we have at Sloan called Sloanies helping Sloanies. And I think that is really unique to the experience. And students take that with them when they leave the walls of the confines of Sloan in Kendall Square. They really take that to heart. That's why we have such a robust alumni network and those individuals who really want to give back to the community and help their fellow Sloanies. And so that's a really unique experience. Being the tight knit community, being mission driven, being data driven, being able to have that holistic MBA experience. Of course, the studies are very rigorous, but there's more to an MBA program than that. There's a lot that goes on outside of the classroom, and all of those experiences, the network, the relationships. We have world-renowned faculty at your fingertips. So being able to tap into that, form lifelong relationships with them, do research with them, do work with them. Those are some really amazing lifelong relationships and experiences that you can carry through.
Perfect. That was a great answer. So if another user asked if you could pick the top three reasons that someone specifically would choose MIT over another program, just three off the top of your head that you would say.
I think the people, I think were a group of humble people who really, like I said, mission driven, data driven, baseline are very intelligent. I think students are really interested in the area, the location of Sloan. We're located in the heart of Kendall Square, but we're Boston, Cambridge. There's so much at your fingertips there. It really is an amazing place to study and to some who will work there later. And I think the curriculum, like I mentioned earlier, I think students who have the opportunity, you have to take the core the first semester, but having the opportunity to have flexibility to sort of create your own path for the remaining 3 semesters is something really unique, and not all MBA programs do that. And so it allows you, again, if you want to take that deeper dive with the certificates, or if you want to figure out your own degree audit and figure out what electives you want to take, as long as you meet the credit hours requirement, it really is up to you. We also have the opportunity to take 3 electives outside of the Sloan curriculum, and you can also cross-register with Harvard. So all of those opportunities together, I think that might have been more than 3, but all of those, I think, to come together. I mean, I think it hopefully stands for itself, hopefully individual, and also the opportunity, all of you, I hope you have the opportunity to talk to a current student or an alum and to hear their experiences. And hopefully you'll hear some of the same phrases and information that I've shared thus far this morning.
Thank you. And just to kind of expand on your answer about the curriculum,
Mhm.
one person asked about customizing the curriculum for the program. If you could kind of expand further on what you mentioned a few moments ago.
Sure. So like I said, the core requirement first semester, you don't have a choice in that. All students are required to take that. The remaining 3 semesters, you have hundreds of electives you can choose from to take. So if you, like I said, want to take that deeper dive, you would be taking one of the certificates, one of the 7 certificates. If you elect not to take a certificate, which is totally fine, and actually not that many students do take a certificate, they want the flexibility to take whatever additional courses they want. They sit down with their MBA program advisor and they kind of look through the electives and they kind of figure out, a handful of subject areas that they're most interested in and sort of pick and choose from there. Also bearing in mind that you really only have one fall semester to work through your degree audit. So some courses might not be offered every semester, right? So you'd have to kind of work through that degree audit with your program advisor, but there's so many different directions student can take, and that's the beauty of being able to pick and choose from so many different electives.
Perfect. So another question is in regards to the alumni community. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that they can kind of help to give insights in the application
Uh-huh.
process. So if you could expand upon that a bit.
So how the alumni network helps current students or are
Yep.
involved with Sloan.
How they
Okay.
help current students.
Okay, yeah. So the alums, like I said, help with the in the career development office, sort of as industry experts. Alums help students just with their own network, right? Having conversations with current students and, saying, oh, this person I know really well, let me connect you. You should have this informational call with them. Alums also will offer their company or organization as a host organization for one of our Action Learning Labs. We have alumni participating in our events domestically and internationally. Alums come back to campus to be guest speakers, to participate as a guest speaker series, but also just guest speaker in the classroom. So those are a few of the ways that come to mind, but they're constantly they're available and they're very much interested in helping. Again, not to be too cliche, but the slogan "Sloanies helping Sloanies" is really true. It's not they don't feel burdened by doing this. They really do want to help. They really do want to share their knowledge and insight. And so, yeah, those are some of the ways I've really seen alums engage and really help our current students.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So another question was about entrepreneurial opportunities and how the program provides that support.
Sure. So one of our certificates is in entrepreneurship and innovation. We also have a center called the Martin Trust Center on campus that's dedicated to entrepreneurship. This is not just for Sloan students, this is for the entire institute. So going there are active labs that folks are working on different projects, having coffee and just talking to individuals that are there. Bill Aulette, one of the founding partners there, he is often there too. He's a professor. Gaining their knowledge and insight and just having the opportunity to talk to current students regardless of whatever program they're in, and kind of hearing what their story is, like what startup are they interested in, what are they looking to do. And there are many examples of individuals who have sort of connected in the Martin Trust Center and now are co-founders in a variety of different businesses. So the Martin Trust Center is really the hub for a lot of this, but a lot of these conversations do also happen outside of that. Individuals are constantly, students are constantly talking to one another. Our cafe on the first floor of E62, which is our main building, I don't know if folks have been there, but it's constantly buzzing. There's constantly people talking about it. You walk by, people are saying, I'm interested in starting this startup. What are you interested in? You could just overhear conversations. And there's just a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of individuals who might have even come to Sloan that weren't necessarily interested in starting a company or anything like that, but get connected and end up starting a company. So I would say a lot of it comes from the Martin Trust Center. A lot of it comes from inorganic conversations that folks are having, or people connecting students with one another and starting those relationships. So Martin Trust Center, and if really interested, you can pursue the certificate.
Perfect. And just the last few questions.
Sure.
There are a few regarding scholarship opportunities. You mentioned some in the presentation, but if you could just, any that you didn't, I guess, go through in its entirety.
Sure. So yeah, we certainly do understand financing your MBA is really important. The admissions office does automatically review all applications for merit-based fellowships. So these are awarded upon acceptance into the program. There are a handful of other scholarships that the students would have to apply to. They're not awarded through the admissions office. They're just through MIT grad. And so unfortunately, that would be a completely separate process. The only thing that the admissions office does is the merit-based fellowships that you all would, if applying, you all would be considered for them.
Thank you. And there are quite a few still asking about the fee waiver. Just if you want to just clarify that. Yes. The application.
Sure. The application fee waiver. So on our website, we have highlighted the criteria that if you meet that criteria, we would allow you to have an application fee waiver, but you would have to send us an email. There are directions on the application, and then on our website for the criteria. We do have a handful of events of MIT Sloan admission specific events that students can get application fee waivers for. Which is just a hint. You wouldn't necessarily know that if you went on the website. So there's a hint for that. But also if there are, if you're involved in, if you do any work with, AmeriCorps, if you're a vet, if you're any other major volunteer organization, AmeriCorps, I forget the other one, but there's a few of those that you automatically would get an application fee waiver. Just make sure you ask for the application fee waiver before you submit your application, because we cannot retroactively give you back the $250. So make sure you ask for an application fee waiver and that you are not denied, that you are granted the fee waiver, because that will be then attached to your application. And that is the only way that we know that you actually have gone through the process. So just make sure that you do that. If you look at the website, meet the criteria, send us an email, and you get the application fee waiver. Just bear that in mind.
Perfect. I think that covers the questions. Can ask one more real quick. Being mindful of time.
Yeah, that's okay.
Someone did ask about the interviews and how to make the best impression with that. If you could concisely say that.
Sure. So if invited for an interview, again, just being your genuine self, answering the questions and making sure it's just a way for the admissions committee to get to know you. So make sure you just answer the questions. You complete both of the interview essays before the interview, and that, you're going to be nervous, but that's okay. Just try to be as genuine and authentic as possible.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. If we did not cover your question today, feel free to stop by the booth, the MIT booth, and you will find a variety of links and helpful resources. And you can chat with the admissions team and Megan here. That will be from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern time today. So thank you all and have a great day.
Thanks so much.